Hello and welcome once again to another episode of the Traveling Hooper. I am your stand-in host today, Calvin McGowan, as our usual host, Alan Pettigrew, is out this week. And this is going to be kind of a short one. So, oh yes, I'm sorry, Phil, introduce yourself.
All right, thanks, stand-in guest, our host. Well, I guess we're both a little rusty. Um, my name's Philip Dixon, aka Lord Frieza, and yeah, here to talk some hoops. And this will be a fairly quick one, but really packed to the nitty gritty.
All right. So, first up, so uh, the Suns are now up 3-1 on the Clippers.
Uh huh.
Um, do you think there's any hope for the Clippers at this point?
No, there isn't any hope for the Clippers, but I will say this. Well, I don't know. Okay, simply put, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt, the Clippers already win before Chris Paul comes back from well, Chris Paul barely has a chance to help them win. Uh, pre or post his absence because of the coronavirus. But if Kawhi Leonard would play, if Kawhi Leonard would have not gotten hurt, they would have won. Point blank. Period. I think it's pretty much that simple. Now you could make the argument that if Kawhi Leonard was still playing, Paul George wouldn't have felt the need to step up in a way that he has. So you really can't really make that prediction. But for them to win, even with Kawhi, Paul George would still need to do what he has been doing the last, like 4 games, 4 or 5 games, whatever it's been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Kawhi Leonard's out, and each game has been increasingly close. But you know, you can't. They can't win. Aiden's too nice. Booker's too nice. Chris Paul's too efficient, and everybody on their team knows what their role is. No one tries to do too much. No one tries to do too little. They all know exactly what they're there to do for, like what they're there to do. The Milwaukee Bucks are built the exact same way. That was how all those old Spurs teams were built. Everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to do. It's that simple. But there is no chance for the Clippers. It might not be a wrap tonight, but it will definitely be a wrap next game. I don't foresee the Clippers being able to come back from this kind of deficit without the best player they have.
Okay. So, do you think it ends tonight, or like, do you think they've managed to get one more game?
The games have been so close, it's kind of a toss up, but I think they close it out tonight, being Phoenix. If they didn't have Chris Paul, I would lean towards the Clippers' way. But the fact they have Chris Paul, I'm almost sure that he won't allow that to happen.
Oh,
So just because Chris Paul's back, and he had like a not great shooting game last game, that he'll do the opposite this game. But yeah, I think Phoenix closes it out. What is this? In game 5.
okay. And of course, the Bucks are currently up 2-1. Do you, how do you think the series will play out at this point? And I'm aware Trae Young had some is like a bone bruise or something.
Yeah, this past game, he got up to run on the court,
Mm-hmm.
and he was near the sideline, and he stepped back on the referee's foot and tweaked his ankle. It was freakish. He already well not apparently he was already wearing these robotic looking ankle braces anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have ankle issues like Steph Curry used to have. I'm assuming, or Ray Allen used to have also. Must be something with those 3-point shooters. But that happened. But even with him still going crazy, they won't win another game. Like, Milwaukee is going to win every game until the finals. I don't foresee the Hawks. They found their number. You know, they put Giannis on Trae a lot instead of keeping Drew Holiday on him. So if you do that, you know, trying to do the whole lane thing, and he's obnoxiously athletic, being Giannis, that you can make that move, but that allows you to put Drew on someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 games, Chris Middleton had like around 15 points each. And last night he had 20 points in the fourth quarter. And he tied his postseason career high with 38 points. He found his rhythm back, and if you have kept up with his career at all, you know that it's not going away because he was making shots that he can shoot on anybody. It was just really doing his thing. You know what I mean? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I do not think that the Hawks literally will win another game. Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns, NBA Finals, calling it here and now.
Okay. Moving away from the court a little bit. So, um, Chauncey Billups is apparently going to become the new coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. And it appears to be something of a PR nightmare.
Really,
Kinda, yeah. Um, apparently, um, Chauncey Billups has had some sexual assault allegations before. Like, I
really.
haven't looked. Oh, apparently yes. It's even on the Wikipedia. Like, at least I don't know if there are more, but there's one specifically on the Wikipedia page. Um,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I have not heard anything about this
Neither did I.
until when? Until when?
A couple days ago.
God, do you mind if I ask? Well, do you mind if I ask? What is this? By who?
Hmm.
Like, who was the publication that posted that? Because I have this weird thing about, like, I don't know, what were the allegations? Did they like did they lead up to anything? Uh, were they just allegations? You know what I mean?
Um. So, for the record, Billups and Ron Mercer did settle a civil suit related to it in 2000. It's not recent, but at least the one there is not recent, but like it's also news to a lot of people apparently. Like we're not exactly the only people that didn't know about this.
I mean, I don't. They settled out of civil law, a lawsuit, whatever you said.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of hate when things like that happen, and like he didn't go to jail for whatever, and then all of a sudden he's had a whole lifestyle change. He's had a whole career since then, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden people go, "But what about that one time when you were 20 or 19 or whatever it is, and you're a grown man with kids, had a whole career?" And people like, I don't agree with that. I didn't hear the rhetoric, but I am always weary about who says something like this because I remember when Derrick Rose for the Minnesota Timberwolves, he uh scored a 50-point game, right? Remember that?
Vaguely.
Okay, he scored 50 points, Minnesota Timberwolves. Everybody
Hmm.
was like really happy for him, you know. He was like in tears after the game. Really feel good moment.
Okay.
The next day, I'm a big Derrick Rose fan, so I'm looking over like, the YouTube feed and looking at the different things that are being said about Derrick Rose that day. You know, people get being congratulatory, and people just being into it in general. And all of a sudden, I look at the jump, and it's Rachel Nichols, and she brings up a a case against Derrick Rose that had happened like the summer before or two summer before that, something like that, to where he also wasn't convicted, like guilty for it and like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I was like, why did she bring that up? And at this moment, the publication that is like going back to 2000 for Chauncey Billups, I'm also just like, why do you bring that up now? It's kind of a weird like slander of character kind of thing. Like I'm just weary of the motives of the reasons why someone would like bring that up, even though like it's the public record, right? It's public record. It's been
Mm-hmm.
out there forever. But as soon as I don't know, as soon as he wants to get a job that's not working for ESPN or a head coaching job, which there's not many black head coaches in the NBA at all, that all of a sudden he, where he's not one of many, all of a sudden this comes up. It seems very strange to me, but that is also how I've seen things work. I don't know, since I've been actively paying attention to these things.
Okay, so because I do before we like move on from this, I do want to touch on like the actual kind of how you think it's going to affect the organization. But I do want to say this right quick. It's just like I I don't know. It's like that kind of thing is kind of it's weird for me in the sense that like one right, like you said, he's had an entire life, and so like you'd like to think if nothing like I like to think that it's possible for people, even people who've done bad and very bad things, can like become better people, right? Or like change and like not be that same person they were when they did whatever it was. Um, but like and like because like there are instances of dudes who've like done bad things, like felt like did the work and like aren't that person anymore, and like some folks just I don't know, they just kind of change and outgrow things and what have you. But I can't really blame anybody for like seeing this like a Blazers fan or whatever, being like I don't want somebody with like a who like had a sexual assault case or whatever like as one of the faces of my organization, like the team that I root for, like um but I don't know, it's one of them things that gets into a lot of things in terms of like I don't know how people react to people and whether or not people can grow and change and when and if you should give people the benefit of the doubt and what have you, but we don't really have time for all of that. Um, but
But okay,
mhm.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if I don't even know if it's necessarily an agreement, but it's the I'm personally just not a huge fan of, because that inherently becomes a concept of, you know, the second chance doesn't exist, because I am a person who like always thought that Chauncey Billups was a boring person. If this would never came out, I know nothing about this man. You know what I mean? Like his personal life, anything. If you've been following basketball since, for me, 2008, you know nothing about this man besides his playing career and him being like one of the greatest journeymen of the last 20 years. But like, so like, there's no way you would find out about this, and that's a great thing. Like that's a great thing. You know what I mean? But also to get back to the actual game itself, he got a 5-year deal.
Mhm.
I don't think he would have signed a 5-year deal if there wasn't something in place for him to have like incentive to sign something that long. Uh, being the elephant in the room, Damian Lillard. With Chauncey Billups coming there, I'm not sure if Damian Lillard leaves anymore.
I mean, from I don't know. I think it's from what little I've seen, it appears to be a bit more wait and see than like certainly Portland as an organization would like it to be, but I don't know.
I mean, everybody else will go, he'll stay. Not everybody, obviously, but significant moves will be made so that like the Portland Trailblazers have like some kind of a significant chance next year. But Dame will stay during this process, and no one, and I mean literally no one else is safe. Don't be surprised if Nurkic is gone.
Right. The main issue, one of the issues that Alan and I talked about last week was just that like they don't have a whole lot of cap flexibility with Dame on the with Dame's contract on the books though.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only so much they'd be able to do.
I mean, that's why you trade, right? That's why you're able to like maneuver money. Granted, we found
Like
this out in other sports, but money in sports is fictitious. Like cap room only means so much until you figure out a way to expand or change something up or do like contract negotiations or whatever. Like the money, like I remember this is on a different note. I remember that like last year, the Chiefs at one point had $20 in cap space left. The Kansas City Chiefs. And then all of a sudden, that's the same year they signed Patrick Mahomes to a 500 or estimated with bonuses $500 million contract for 10 years. And people are like, how do they have that kind of money? Oh, you just shift people's stuff around and start making trades, and things will end up okay. And I think the NBA is the exact same thing. If you want to get that cap space back, you'll do it.
well, here's the thing though, unless you move Dame, you're not getting the cap space that he takes up back.
I mean, but we've seen that Dame doesn't need much to be successful. But I think different would be better, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just different pieces. He doesn't need a Brooklyn Nets kind of situation, right? But
Right.
he does need one other person. Now, if you have to move, if you make your bench not as good as it is, because Carmelo Anthony's gone, uh, if you have to make your bench not as good as it is to, gain that cap space and get one other person to change the dynamic of that team, so you can have a legitimate 1-2-3 instead of a 1-2 that you've had for the last 5 years, then do it. But I think that they can maneuver cap space enough to get a star, not a superstar, but at least a star, and that would be worlds better than having Dame do what he's been doing for the last 2 or 3 years, which has been ridiculous.
That's fair, but whatever they do, they might have to do it kind of quick. But
I hope they do.
yeah,
I like the power structures in the league more spread out. The fact that the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks are going to the NBA Finals this year is great for the NBA.
just so you know, if it turns out you jinx this, I'm gonna blame you for it because I want that too.
I'm so confident right now that I am A-okay with putting that out there because the Clippers are usually on the opposite end of this, not the ones trying to come back. So I'm okay with that. And the best player's gone, and all have faith in Chris Paul. That's all. That's all you gotta say.
Um, moving on. I'm pronouncing this man's name right. Ime Udoka just became the new coach of the Celtics. Um, I I'm not gonna pretend like I knew much about him before, but do you think that with him as the head coach now, and what Stevens is the GM, I think, president of basketball operations, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. President of
Yeah.
Basketball Operations.
Um, and oh yeah, they also recently shipped off Kimba. So
Yep. To to Oklahoma City, but Oklahoma City, he's expected to not play one game with them.
oh for real?
Uh,
Okay. Um, but do you think that actually I'm gonna phrase it like this: do you think the Celtics have a plan to get past whatever hump they seem to have found themselves in recently?
no. I think they truly think that I think they truly think that Jaylen Brown being out was a catastrophic situation for them, which you could argue it is or it was, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that they're good with Jason Tatum being their all elite superstar. Um, and I think they're even better with the fact that Brad Stevens isn't the head coach for them anymore, and that he moved on to an office job, which is what he seems to be more conditioned for,
Hmm.
in the long run at least. I just don't know anything about this head coach besides he's dating a black actress that was Will Smith's girlfriend off The Fresh Prince. Nina,
Nia
Nia
Long.
Nia Long, yeah, he is dating her, and that's all I know about this man. That's literally all I know about this man. Um, I am surprised that I feel like the news of the Boston Celtics having a black head coach was not nearly as big as I thought it was going to be. Like I barely heard about this.
Well, the thing is, right? I think just because of how distant they are, it's easy to forget that both Bill Russell and Doc Rivers had stints there that produced rings, if memory serves. So, I mean, I know Doc, but I'm pretty sure Russell as well. But that's one of those things. It's
I mean,
I
but
don't
still,
know.
anytime a black coach, like every time a black coach gets a head coaching job anywhere, I feel like it should be like kind of big news, especially in sports. Um, because once again, they're not one of many; they're one of a few. And numbers wise and historically wise, they're definitely one of a few. So I think it'd be fairly big news. Um, but you're right, he is. There was Doc Rivers, there was Bill Russell, but still, the Boston Celtics is arguably what top three biggest franchises in basketball,
Hmm.
and like they're essentially the elitist, the top 1% of sports. Like I'm surprised I didn't hear more about this, and kind of just went under the radar for me. And for some reason I heard more about Jason Kidd, but whatever.
Speaking of which, of course, Jason Kidd is now the new head coach at Dallas, and a Nico Harrison, who, if memory serves, is recently a Nike executive, is the new GM.
Know
Uh,
nothing about Nico. And JKidd, I've heard people say like, "Oh, his coaching record is not good," but Luka Doncic is Jason Kidd, so I think everything will be all right. And the kid took the Nets to the finals twice. Put the right pieces around, I think they're going to be a-okay.
will they though? Do you think?
What do
Like
you
that's
wait? What do you mean? What do you mean?
well, like you're like I feel like if they put, I mean, it's kind of truism. If they put the right pieces around him, he'll be successful. Like Luka's an amazing player, but like I don't know, the rosters around him isn't that great.
I mean, they just got to do his job, right? I don't think he's going to be. If he's in with Dallas, Dallas will never be a dynasty team. I don't think it'll be a dynasty organization, but he can get out the first round. You know what I mean? Like getting out the first round is a plus for the Dallas Mavericks at the moment. Luke can do all he wants in the regular season and all he wants in the first round. But if you don't get out the first round, so you got Jason Kidd was just on a championship team. Jason Kidd has won a championship. Jason Kidd has been to the finals 3 different times. He is the kind of person you need. But also apparently, there was like a weird rift between Rick Carlisle and Luka Doncic. So that's gone. But also apparently there's some weird rift between KP and Luka Doncic. And there shouldn't be a rift because in comparison KP is garbage. In comparison, right?
Hmm.
KP is they used to call him the unicorn. He's a tall guy that shoots threes. He doesn't even like that's his game. There's no rebounding. There's no whatever. He is a slasher, get to the rim, dunk on somebody, or he used to be, dunk on somebody, and just shoot a three, big man. He's a stretch five. He is what the future of the NBA was, and he is what the future of the NBA is at the moment. He is the present NBA, and he's like doing the best at that. Shout out to Joel Embiid. Um, but if you fix that riff and he learns his role, and you get some other people in that also know the roles that are like the Phoenix Suns of how they're built right now, I think that as long as you get out of the first round of the Dallas Mavericks, at the moment, you have significantly upgraded. Because if I remember right, Dallas Mavericks haven't been out the first round since they won the championship. That's not good.
Oh.
So as soon as you get, what is that, 2010? Yes.
So I think.
2010. Yeah, it was that first Heat year.
Mm-hmm.
So 2011, let's say, they need to get out the first round. It's been 11 years to get out the first round. Just focus on that. Baby steps. Not everybody can be the Suns that go from last year to this year, but everybody can be, you know, Milwaukee of the last 5-6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Slow build around superstar, and then eventually you trade one player to get a really good player from a really bad team, being Drew Holiday from the Pelicans, and all of a sudden you have a legitimate championship caliber team. So they work that way, being the Dallas Mavericks. I think they'll be all right. And JKidd fits that mold.
Okay. So I know you said you were under a bit of a time crunch, so we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Once again, everybody, thank you for sticking with us through this comparatively very short episode of the Traveling Hooper.
Yeah, it's about 1/4 longer than we usually are.
If you're joining us on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, and all that obligatory stuff that I'm supposed to say here. And if you're joining us listening, like, you can of course also listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And once again, I am your fill-in host, Calvin McGowan, and I'll let Phil bring us out.
Yes, my name is Philip Dixon. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to YouTube, just like Calvin just mentioned. Let's see. Black Lives Matter. Obligatory stuff that people see on YouTube. Like, subscribe down below. And yeah, thank you very much, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.